Welcome everyone, and we are back. Week 5, I think. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamonds Unbreakable, episode 5. Now, being someone who has read the manga already for a while, finished it all the way. I'm up to Jojo part 8. Um, I've been looking forward to this episode. It's a really, as you probably seen already, it's a really emotional one, really heartfelt one. So without further ado, let me just get right on to the overview, the review of this episode. Let's start off with what happened. It leaves off where the last episode ended, and that is the Keisho and Josuke, the battle, how it finished. Keisho get blasted on his face through bad company, and he's completely knocked out completely. um, Koichi and Josuke want to leave, but then Koichi understands that, like, listen, the arrow, like, I almost got killed by it. This guy Keisho has been getting stats and putting them all over this area, but some of them might have not worked. In other words, people must have died, and you could already tell that this is a little bit of character development for Koichi, and that is that brave aspect of him and not willing to let people kill others, especially since throughout the previous episodes you could tell that he's been looking into, like, all these murders that have been going on in Morio, like that. So he tells Josuke, like, that's arrow and that bow, we need to get them, like, we need a break and we need to dispose of them as soon as possible. And I don't remember Keisho bringing up his father in the previous episodes. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't, but Josuke points that out. He said, like, yo, I believe that this guy, he spoke about having a father, maybe he's at home. And he also admires Koichi for being brave enough of, like, going to get that bow and arrow, even if he has to do it by himself. So they go upstairs. They go to the third floor, if I'm not mistaken, and that's where they encounter this weird being. They see the arrow and they see the bow, and it's basically the same scenario as episode 4, where Josuke sees what he wants in a room, but he doesn't trust it because it's too good to be true. And then they hear some noise, some chains. They are really careful going in. They decide, you know what, we'll kick the door in. That's the best way to do this shit. And a green hand straight up grabs Koichi's foot as they try to kick the door in. Out of defense, Crazy Diamond breaks the hand off. Pretty cool. Because then we see the creature, like, running away, and as we get a closer zoom into it, it's like this green creature with his hand torn off. He reaches back to get the broken off hand and starts to fucking eat it. Some fucked up shit right there. So up to here, if you were not familiar with the story at all, this was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, another stand user? Is this a stand of someone? Josuke points that out, actually, that it's not a stand, it's an actual physical manifestation of something. It's a real thing. And that's where Keisho, like, he starts coming back and he starts saying, like, yo, you guys should not have seen this. This is my father. And this is where the series started getting really interesting for me, like, because it's showing not only that battle aspect of it, but more that emotional aspect. It's going a little bit more. It reminds me a little bit more that feeling that I got when you got that Caesar and Joseph Joestar relationship. Is that pulling those emotional aspects out of the series, and it's not just all being cool and being strong and, like, being, like, manly, you know. Yeah, Jojo has these emotional aspects to them, and this is a part of the story that I absolutely loved. We see that Keisho is still being an asshole, regardless of whether or not that's his father or not. He treats that monster. He says that we're just family by blood. like he doesn't recognize me, he doesn't know who I am, like, and he explains us this. He tells us the story of how his father came to become this creature. Um, we get informed that apparently he was one of Dio's henchmen. Yes, the asshole who implanted like this little organic butts into people's brains, and control them through that. I'm not gonna spoil too much about the story. You either already seen it or you should just watch the episode. But long story short, the moment Dio died, that organic bud that was in his head, it started like becoming part of him and manipulating his body and his physical form, to the point where he turned into a monster that could no longer die because Dio's cells were immortal. Of course, him being a vampire, stone mask, all that bullshit. And the monster, the father, starts reaching out to this box every time that they, like this treasure box. It reminded me a lot of a treasure box. Starts looking into it, and Keisho always, like, he comments on the fact that his father always is going into that box, and that he always keeps making a mess, and she doesn't have conscience anymore because he keeps doing this out of like intuition. And he like wants to like punch. He straight up beats his father up. Like, that's the fucked up part about this. It's not like pushing him away or no. He's like legit like stomping him with his foot and like punching him. And Josuke tells him to stop, like, because he notices that the father's doing this for a reason. Keisho also informs us, however, and this is something I forgot to mention earlier, that the reason why he has this bow and arrow is because he's looking for a stand user that could kill his father. Seeing how his father is immortal, he's looking for someone who has abilities to kill him, and put an end to him. So he's not doing it for all the wrong reasons, although he took wrong matters into taking this, reaching this goal. So Josuke, he's like, Keisha's straight up gonna beat his father one more time up for opening the box and like making a mess out of the room, and Josuke straight up tells him like, hey, like, don't do it, and he starts reaching out to him, and Keisho thinks he's gonna get a bow and arrow. He pulls back. He's like, Josuke tells him like, no, like, I'm not interested in that for the moment. He uses crazy diamonds to punch the box, and within the box there are these little scraps of paper that all get pulled together, and is a picture of him, of the father when he was in his normal form, a more human-like form. It's a photo of Okuyasu, of Keisho, and it's just like this really hard oh my god, when I was reading the manga, I was getting emotional, but now seeing it animated, like, a few tears dropped. I gotta be honest with you. There were some tears that fell down my eyes, because this was pretty well done, and this is what I'm looking mostly forward to in the anime, like that extra aspect that the animation gives to the story that was otherwise just drawn out for us. Oh my god. What's important to note is also that Okuyasu, by this time, he went back. He followed Josuke and Keisho, and he's just behind the room, just listening and watching. Josuke says, you know what, Keisho, like, you're not doing this for all the wrong reasons. If I can help you find a stand user without killing them, I don't mind helping you giving you some help, basically, which is an interesting aspect because it's possible, like, shooting the arrow to the people, like taking the arrow out and just have Crazy Diamond bring him back to their normal state. They could have done this. Could have are the key words here, because obviously, as this goes on, as Josuke's giving the explanation, Okuyasu also enters the room, and he's like, listen, like, let's stop this, brother. Let's continue. Let's just accept Josuke's help, and let's continue to help father out. To which Keisho replies, it's too late for me to go back. Like, I've killed so many people already. I cannot go and live my normal life. Okuyasu, you're basically nothing to me. Like, just get off me. Um, and that's when we kind of like see the shadow above them in like the windows on the ceiling. Josuke notices someone behind them and tells him like, "Hey, do you guys have any other relatives living in this house?" To which the brothers reply that they don't, and we get introduced to, oh my god, Red Hot Chili Pepper. In the anime, Hot Chili Pepper, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, Chili Pepper or Red or Hot Chili Pepper, one of the two. It doesn't bother me too much. You can still hear the Japanese voice actor saying Red Hot Chili Pepper. Um, he looks crazy good. He ends up like grabbing Keisho, and as Okuyasu wants to reach out to him, Keisha tells him like don't he first he pushes him out the way because he notices the enemy, and then he tells Okuyasu not to get close to him because he'll get also like attached to the electricity. He gets pulled out. Okuyasu being a partially dumbass and but at the same time good at heart. He wants to reach out to his brother. They decide to go to the rooftop to check out what the fuck's going on, and that's where you kind of get this fucked up scene where the brother's been basically pulled through the wall socket and into the electricity cords outside, and he's just completely fried and he's dead. Um, in the manga, this was kind of fucked up. In the anime, it still kind of is. It's it's messed up, and it's kind of like an emotional trip again because Okuyasu, just for confirmation, he's like just processing all that's been happening all of a sudden in one day. He like he tells Josuke like, my brother deserved this. Like, he knew what he was getting himself into. So in a way, kind of like saying like, yo, my brother was an asshole, but at the same time, he confirms with Josuke, but he did try to save me. You saw it, right, Josuke? He saved me, right? And I don't know how I feel about this because it it makes me feel really bad for Okuyasu. Like, that is one of the reasons why I love this character so much. It's just like he's a dumbass, but at the same time he has a really good heart. And this is just like, this reminds me of like when you tell a kid like, yeah, yo, your hamster just died, but don't worry, he's like, these things happen. Like, it's like you have to explain to a child what's happening, and that's what I feel like Okuyasu was going through at that moment, and that is learning, processing what just happened, and his brother just passing away, and despite him acting like an asshole, that he still had good intentions. We switch over after that to Jotaro getting a phone call from supposedly this Red Hot Chili Pepper stand user, and him telling Jotaro like, I know who you are, just get off my city, and we're all cool. No one gets hurt. If Josuke doesn't do shit to me, like, I won't do shit to him. And Jotaro's being Jotaro. He's like, I'm not leaving. Like, who are you? Like, oh, so you're he gives him, Red Hot Chili Pepper gives him a little bit too much information, and Jotaro finds out that he is a high school student. So he's like, oh, so you're still in high school, huh? All right. Um, and Red Hot Chili Pepper gets so pissed that he just blows up the phone. So we get confirmation Red Hot Chili Pepper works with electricity, and he manipulates anything that has electricity, which in a way is a little bit OP in a way, just like Angelo, um, anything that has to do with his element he controls. That's how I feel, at least for the moment. And yeah, that's kind of like where the episode leaves off. The episode leaves off with Josuke, with Okuyasu coming to Josuke's house and telling him like, "Hey, I'm going to the same school as you. Let's be friends." And just a little bit of a funny sequence because it introduces a little bit more of his character and how he's going to play out in the story, and that's being Josuke's like goofy little fun friend, which I like. like this really strong, powerful character at the same time being like this goofy, just and a little bit of comedic. That brings a little bit of that comedic aspect to the story. Absolutely love this. Overall, great episode. Cannot complain too much. The 3 points that I love talking about: the animation, the pacing, and the overall, and the value to the overall plot. Animation, cannot complain. I went back and checked the manga. It still pays respect to the manga and the panels and the way things should look like. Um, Red Hot Chili Pepper looked a little bit different than his first appearance in the manga. In the first appearance, he had a little bit more of an insect-like form. His eyes, the way they were portrayed, and the head piece was a little bit drawn differently. But I think that's because towards the end of the series, at least towards the end of this part, Red Hot Chili Pepper does go through a animation difference. So they decided to just keep everything constant and just give us the final look right away. Just like with Josuke. Josuke looked like a thug at first normally in the manga, but then ended up looking like the Josuke that you're seeing now. The pacing is was a little bit slow in this episode, but this is one of those moments where you can't really complain too much about the pacing because it was meant to create atmosphere. So it's not like I'm complaining about it. The pacing was a little bit slow for this one episode, but it was done for a reason. It was to create give us this atmosphere, tell us this story. It was meant to put us in this more of an emotional aspect and not give us like too much action in an episode that was supposed to be more about the background of Keisho's father and the death of the Keisho character. So overall, I can't complain too much about the pacing. Well done. Did its job, played its emotional role. The value to the overall plot. We get 3 things right here. First of all, we are introduced to our new enemy, the Red Hot Chili Pepper. He takes the arrow, and the bow and the arrow, and claims this as his. We see his stand. We don't know who the enemy is. Just like in the first episode of this part 4, where we get introduced to Angelo. Excuse me. Just like when we get introduced to Angelo, like with Shadows, that's how we get introduced to this character again. So that's one progress within the story that we get. The second progress that we get is that we get Okuyasu now as an ally. Him being a bad guy, the first episode he was introduced, and him being now like the friendly high school student, fellow high schooler with Josuke and Koichi. That's a little bit more progression. And the third one is a little bit more of a subtle progress within the story and the plot, and that is the fact that through the conversation that Jotaro and Red Hot Chili Pepper had, we now know that, and we also knew this through Keisho earlier in the same episode, that people are aware of who Jotaro is. People who know about stands, who look into the situation with the bow and the arrow, they know who Jotaro is, and they know that he is forced to be reckoned with. They have to be really careful with him. He has the world. He has Star Platinum the world. So that's like a pretty cool aspect. That's what I really liked about this part 2, is like people are like, holy shit, like this Jotaro guy, like, yo, we better be careful with him. And that's where I guess they kind of overlook Josuke a little bit, despite Josuke being like a really strong stand user himself. So I liked these established points, and these three little points. 2 of them at least have like a significant value to the overall story. One of them is just for the temporary part that we're going to go into, before we get introduced to bigger villains. Now, that's all despite this what goes into this episode. After this, I'll actually go into some extra notes that I really want to go into, but have some spoiler aspect to them. So if you're an anime only viewer, Please hit that like button, subscribe button, comment what you think about what you thought about this episode. Was it too slow for you? Was it well paced? What do you think of the animation? What do you think of the stand of Red Hot Chili Pepper? Is it a cool stand? The design, its ability to control anything that works with electricity. What's your opinion on him or her? Hit the comment, type it all in the comments down below. I will go into spoilers right now. 3, 2, 1. Okay, so this episode basically finishes volume 2 of Diamond is Unbreakable. We get that all wrapped up. The Nijimura brothers, that's all wrapped up. Red Hot Chili Pepper absolutely looks great. As I mentioned earlier, oh my god, like it's a little bit. I mean, this is more the cartoonish form, I guess I would say, of the stand, because the first design felt a little bit more creepy. I felt, and I didn't know because I wasn't too familiar with stands that spoke. So I wasn't too familiar with whether or not like someone was yelling at him or someone was communicating telepathically with the rest of the cast. But in this episode, it looks very clearly that the stand is talking. So, I mean, I'm really excited. Like the animation was absolutely beautiful. The yellow lightning. I hope they keep this up. It was absolutely well done. And I wasn't sure whether or not they would go with Red Hot Chili Pepper as in red or a yellow design, which is electricity. Because I would have been curious to see which color they would have chosen, and I'm glad that they went with the yellow one. Not that I don't like the red, but the yellow one makes more sense. I believe the name that they used is also Hot Chili Pepper. I'm not too. It doesn't bother me too much. It's not like Words Company, which felt like a bad name in general. Like Bad Company was the original name. Shining Diamond instead of oh my god. Shining Diamond instead of Josuke Stand. Oh my god, Crazy Diamond. My god, what was going on? So in this for this translation, I don't mind it. It's just one word that they left out. I looked a little bit further in the manga, like 2 pages, to see what story we're gonna get. We are getting the log now. Next episode's gonna be Koichi Hirose, if I'm not mistaken. I am looking forward to this because we've already kind of seen in the opening that the log's stand user, I forgot his name, he appears like in a shorter form, which is his final design. However, in the manga, he was portrayed as this big, tall guy. So I'm looking forward to this little confrontation because I'm curious to see how the anime only viewers are going to react to this stand, because we are soon getting Pearl Jam. I think it's after this little part, which is going to be, I'm guessing, another 1, 2, or 3 episodes max. So I'm really, like, I can't wait for Pearl Jam. Pearl Jam is what got me into JoJo's Bizarre Adventure in general, so I kind of want that to happen. Spaghetti. And now that we have Red Hot Chili Pepper introduced to the story, this means that we are on the road to encounter Joseph Joestar, old man Joseph Joestar. So I'm hyped up. I can't wait. I really, really cannot wait. I'm not gonna ask you guys who are looking at this part to comment about this. Please leave the comments as spoiler free as possible. But yeah, just absolutely loved it. What do you guys think? Are you excited? You just type down in the comments, like, if you're excited or not for these upcoming events that are going to happen. If you are excited for a certain event besides Yoshikage Kira, then just put the stand name on the comments, just so that I can know like what part you're looking forward to. Otherwise, that was the overview. I hope you liked it. Hit the like button below. Subscribe to my channel because we're doing this every week. Getting hyped about JoJo. Subscribe, like, comment down below the stand that you're looking forward to seeing. Please avoid as much spoilers as possible. Don't put like Hermit Purple in there, because that's obviously giving away that Joseph Joestar is coming back. But give the enemy stance, have in store. Looking forward to all of this shit. Thank you for looking, and we will see you again. I will see you again later. What's going on with me?